The Pseudo-Dionysian system of emanation, an orthodox mysticism rooted in Neoplatonic structure. The writings attributed to Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite, particularly the divine names, the Mystical Theology, the Celestial Hierarchy, and the Ecclesiastical Hierarchy, have exerted a profound influence on both Eastern and Western Christian thought. Composed in the late 5th or early 6th century CE, these works present a deeply structured mystical theology shaped by Neoplatonism and characterized by a highly organized vision of reality. At the center of this system is the concept of emanation, the ordered flow of all things from the one, or the good, down through successive ranks of being, and the return of all things back toward their source. Though Pseudo-Dionysius claims fidelity to biblical revelation, his framework bears unmistakable resemblance to the emanational metaphysics of both Plotinus and Proclus, and to certain streams of Christian Gnostic thought, particularly Valentinianism. However, unlike Gnosticism, the Dionysian system does not reject the God of the Old Testament, nor does it posit a Demiurge or embrace a strict dualism. Instead, it synthesizes Christian theology with Neoplatonic metaphysics to form a hierarchical vision of reality rooted in divine unity and returning to it. The One as the source of all lack. At the pinnacle of the Dionysian cosmos is the One, also referred to as the good, God, or the divine. The good is utterly transcendent and unknowable, beyond being, beyond essence, and beyond thought. In the divine names, Dionysius writes, open quote, "The good is the cause of all things, by the fact of having communicated its goodness to all beings. Everything that exists proceeds from the good." DN 4:4. Close quote. This affirmation establishes the central principle of emanation. All that exists flows from the ineffable good by virtue of divine generosity. Importantly, this is not creation ex nihilo in the literal biblical sense, but a metaphysical overflowing. The good does not act by arbitrary will, but by necessity of its nature. It is so good that it must radiate goodness outward into multiplicity. This process is not temporal but eternal, and it establishes the structure of the entire cosmos. Emanation and hierarchy. The outflow of being from the One occurs in a structured and orderly way, described in Dionysius' doctrine of hierarchies. In the Celestial Hierarchy, Dionysius outlines a triple triad of angels, seraphim, cherubim, thrones, dominions, powers, authorities, principalities, archangels, angels, each mediating divine illumination to the rank below. These celestial intelligences receive light from God and transmit it downward. The same principle applies in the Ecclesiastical Hierarchy, where the church itself is understood as a mirror of the celestial realm. Bishops, priests, and deacons perform sacraments that mediate divine grace to the faithful. Emanation, therefore, is both metaphysical and liturgical. Reality is a chain of being in which each level participates in the good according to its capacity and serves as a conduit for others. As Dionysius writes, open quote, "The divine light is passed from the higher to the lower orders and proportionally to each being's ability to receive it." See 3.2. Close quote. Here, emanation is not a one-way descent, but a dynamic movement. Downward from the One in order to give, and upward in response, as all creatures aspire to return. Apophatic theology and the ascent. Back to the One. Because the One is beyond all categories, Dionysius develops an apophatic or negative theology in the Mystical Theology. The soul, ascending through contemplation and purification, must abandon all names, images, and thoughts of God. Open quote. "Leave behind everything perceptible and imaginable, and plunge into the darkness where truly dwells the One who is beyond all things." MTI 1. Close quote. This ascent mirrors the logic of emanation in reverse. As beings descend from the One by way of multiplicity, the soul ascends by reversing this process, stripping away multiplicity and returning to the undivided unity. Thus, the spiritual journey is not toward something other, but back toward one's origin. The goal of Christian life for Dionysius is deification, the return to divine likeness through union with the good, which is made possible by sacramental participation and contemplative prayer. Not Gnostic, but not entirely orthodox. While the Dionysian system is saturated with biblical language and structured around the church's sacramental life, its metaphysical assumptions resonate with older theological systems that the church had long rejected. For instance, the Valentinian tradition also affirms that all things emanate from a hidden, ineffable source, Bythos, who generates aeons in structured pairs. The descent from unity into multiplicity and the return from multiplicity into unity is also a central theme in Valentinianism. Yet, Dionysius avoids the sharp dualism of body and spirit, and he does not vilify the creator God of the Old Testament. Instead, he harmonizes the Old Testament God with the ineffable One, integrating biblical revelation into the Neoplatonic system. This sets Dionysius apart from Gnosticism, while allowing him to function as a bridge between philosophical monotheism and Christian orthodoxy. It also makes possible the reception of his thought by both East and West. In the East, his theology would shape the mysticism of figures like Maximus the Confessor and Gregory Palamas. In the West, it would influence the scholastic system of Thomas Aquinas, the mystical theology of Meister Eckhart, and even the Renaissance Hermetists. Conclusion. The Pseudo-Dionysian system of emanation is one of the most elegant and enduring mystical frameworks in Christian tradition. Through its Neoplatonic metaphysics and Christian liturgical setting, it presents a vision of reality in which all things flow from the ineffable good and seek to return to it through knowledge, love, and purification. Emanation is not merely a philosophical abstraction, but the underlying logic of worship, ethics, and theology. Whether or not Pseudo-Dionysius was a Platonist philosopher, a hidden Valentinian, or a loyal Orthodox Christian, his writings offer a path of ascent for the soul that continues to inspire Christian mystics to this day.